Well, we are in day 4 of jury selection today for the trial of Jimmy Rogers, the man accused of murdering Dr. Teresa Sievers. This has been a long process, so we want to walk you through where we're at now. This morning, 19 jurors are expected to show up. Half of them this morning at 8:30, the other half at 1:30 this afternoon. This is, again, all for the trial against Jimmy Rogers in that murder for hire case. And the judge says this case is unique because of the demands they'll have to deal with over whether or not to sentence a man to death. That's a lot for these potential jury members to have to deal with. So again, 19 jurors will be coming back for hours of questioning today, and we do know that 25 more will be coming back on Monday and Tuesday. So the jury selection process is expected to at least continue into Tuesday. Now, all of this is for the trial against Jimmy Rogers. Mark Sievers will be tried after that, and as you can imagine, this has been a lot for the family of Mark and Teresa Sievers, specifically their 2 young daughters. They were just 8 and 11 at the time of Teresa's murder. So we are taking a look back at what they have been going through since Teresa was killed. Take a listen. In the months after Teresa Sievers' murder, her husband Mark and their 2 daughters weren't living in the home in Bonita Springs where she was killed. We were told they were seen multiple times at his stepmom's house in Collier County. But the sheriff at the time would only tell us the girls, who were 8 and 11, were safe. At a custody hearing in December of 2015, before Mark was arrested, DCF told the judge they felt the girls were in imminent danger in Mark's custody because of his alleged involvement in the murder.
Alleging, the father's involvement in the death of the mother. That is the central focus of this case and the new information of the department that was obtained.
Because Mark hadn't been arrested, the judge ruled the girls couldn't be taken away under speculation. Do you have any comment about the latest information, Mr. Sievers?
Mr. Sievers, anything at all?
Any comment at all? A few days later, when the hearing was continued, DCF told the judge Mark had his daughters under strict control.
They don't have a whole lot of communication with family members, particularly the maternal side of the family, and it appears that Mr. Sievers has direct control over who they can speak to.
When Mark was arrested, the sheriff said the girls were inside their headquarters as their father was escorted to jail. Anything you have to say for your daughters? Once Mark was in jail,
the department at this time is requesting, it might be a moot point, but no contact until such time that we can at least get the children into counseling and find out if that's even going to be recommended.
But the judge ruled Mark could have contact with his girls only by phone. The girls were with a non-relative caregiver in Collier County before Teresa's mom, Mary Ann Groves, was granted custody. That was despite Mark wanting his own mom, Bonnie, to have custody. Now, we wanted to get some insight as to what children like the daughters of Teresa Sievers could be going through right now. So we have a psychotherapist with us this morning. This is Ashley DePalma. First of all, I want to thank you for being here and lending your insight for us. We really appreciate it. The first question I have is, these girls have already been through so much. They lost their mother in this horrific way. Their father is now accused of being the person behind it. And now the trial is happening. So how will this trial be impacting these kids?
It's difficult because they didn't just lose their mother, they lost their father as well. So having this trial come up again could reignite a lot of trauma symptoms that maybe they hadn't addressed before, or maybe that had been addressed that just because of circumstances would raise again.
Yeah, so it would like reopen those old wounds.
It does. It can cause a lot of symptoms. Yeah.
It's such an unfortunate thing. How can kids like the Sievers girls get past something like this?
The best predictor of a positive outcome would be having a good support system, having a strong tie with at least one adult support system. Psychotherapy would be best. Several years of trauma work would be helpful. Animal-assisted therapy has been shown helpful to be with these children too.
And you work with children in these circumstances a lot. What kind of things do you run into with these kids?
A lot of things. A lot of them bounce from foster home to foster home, so that makes it difficult for them as well. It's hard to get foster families on board because they're so busy, and sometimes kids move from place to place, so that's difficult. But the most important thing is consistency. They come in on a weekly basis.
And what kind of battles could these kids end up facing as they get older, as they become adults?
Children that are exposed to trauma at a young age are more likely to get depression, anxiety, use substances themselves, be in trouble with the law. There's a lot of issues that result.
It's just an awful thing to think about kids like this going through. They were just 8 and 11 at the time, and to me that seems like a really impressionable age. It seems like a rough age to have to be dealing with something like this. You're not so young that you don't remember it, and You're not so old that it's so easy to process. Tell me about that.
Sometimes it is easy for younger children because the earlier the intervention, the better off the outcome. It can be good for younger children too. We do trauma work on people of all ages, so there is hope for these children if they have the right treatment with the right people for the right amount of time.
And right now it's the trial for Jimmy Rogers, who's the man accused of actually carrying out the murder. Next will be the trial against their father. Do you think that, these kids should be sheltered away from this trial as much as possible?
I think that depends on the child and how much they can handle and how much they want to know. I think some of the details should be sheltered from them, but I do think they should know what's going on because they will find out.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here, Ashley, and lending your expertise. Super helpful and giving us some insight as to what these girls could be going through. I do want to remind you that all of the information about the trial can be found on our website, fox4now.com. Of course, you can count on us on air to bring you the latest developments as this trial develops. We're also tracking this on social media, so you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on Roku as well if you have that. And make sure you download the Fox 4 Now app because we will be sending push alerts for breaking information.